Hey, good evening, everybody. Wow, what a room, Charlie. Full house.
It's amazing to have all the amazing people here tonight.
And what a weather we have and location. I hope you guys are good. Are everybody good? Perfect. Love that. Great. So, welcome to today's evening. We will talk a bit about digital transformation, a bit about AI, give you the chance to ask questions, have some exciting lightning talks, panel discussion, and good networking, foods and snack. Charlie.
So, very warm welcome to everybody here tonight. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. There are emergency exits, which are very important. You'll see the exit to the end over there, and if you go behind this wall, there's another exit there. If you are looking for the bathrooms, male bathrooms on the side, female bathrooms on that side, and last but not least, if we do have smokers in the house tonight, please smoke on the pavement, close to the terrace, like not over the edge, but close to over the edge. Not, not on the grass, please.
Are you feeling the hype? Are you? Privately, in the business. AI is everywhere, isn't it? And yet we are sitting here, people face to face, which is great. I'm very much looking forward to the discussions. Interestingly, though, if we look at AI, we get studies like these. 70%, 72% of companies are either just breaking even or losing money on their AI investments. That's a pretty steep number, eh? Today, we want to unwrap that a bit. Probably can't give all the answers, but we want to look a bit into the tech. We want to look a bit into what makes AI for us actually valuable, give you the chance to ask questions and come up with a great evening. If we say we, who's actually we?
We're speaking to myself, and I'm Charlie, and we're speaking to Ramon, who is from Partnaer. He's a digital transformation consulting and implementation company. We're going to hear a little bit more about them later. And I come from SUGSA. Our purpose is, as you can see on the screen, creating opportunities for learning, sharing, and networking. We are both South African, but Ramon is a little bit more special as he comes all the way from Germany.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we actually started German time, perfect on clock, right? That's how it's supposed to be here. No, so yeah, we are a German company and we have our headquarters around Munich and another office here in Cape Town. And actually we both, and that's how the connection came up, running a meetup. I don't know if you know the meetup platform, but as you hear, probably you do. So we have two big meetup communities. SUGSA's community is way bigger. We are growing. Our communities, project and product management in Munich and remote, roughly 2,200 members. And then SUGSA has
coming on to 8 members shy of 8,000. So if you're not a member, please join tonight so we can celebrate reaching 8,000.
Yeah, and actually I reached out to Charlie a couple of months ago and was like, do you guys want to run a call-up, meetup? And she said yes, and that's how we're here today. And it's great that we have this possibility. And we're not only here in person. You see a camera over here. You might see a camera over there. So if you're really feeling uncomfortable, you might need to move that side. We are streaming live. And we had over 200 people signed up for the live stream around the globe, Germany, wherever we are. So also from us, a very warm welcome to the live stream on YouTube. They will see everything, hear everything. They also have the chance to ask questions later in the panel, which is great that we have this opportunity.
One last bit on that. If you do have questions for the panel later on, you'll see I have a mic tonight. So I will need to come to you and pass you the mic so that they can actually hear you online. So just wait for me before you start speaking so that everyone is able to hear you.
So what can you expect from this evening? Intro and welcome, we're just into this right now. And then as said, we will have 2 lightning talks. I'll do one. I'll give you a bit about ideas around AI, human, and how I see collaboration. And then we have Lee coming up on stage, one of our sponsors, Xnilo, talking about a use case. Xnilo has been building up together with clients, very interesting. And then actually the most interesting part probably will be our panel discussion. So the first row here is our international panel, people from Germany, from South Africa, various different domains and experiences around AI, where we'll talk about the topic, human X AI collaboration, giving you the chance to ask questions, and then obviously networking, drinks, and enjoying the evening. I hope that sounds good for everybody. Looks like. Perfect. Charlie, maybe you want to give us a bit of...
Yes, I do. So if you go throughout tonight and you think to yourself, I really want to take this photo and put it online and share it with the world, please do. Here are handles up there so you can have a look-see, but it's at SUGSA for our X account, and every other account is Scrum user group. And then partner is at partner for your X account, and partner.core for every other social media handle that they would have. So please do tag us. We would really appreciate it. It really does help us quite a bit.
Perfect. And yeah, I just mentioned the live stream in case somebody, still wants to join and see you here sitting in a stage, very important. Feel free to share that. It might be valuable. So it's just youtube.com/@partner. You have the chance to share that as well. And I think such an event is, it's quite some work to put in actually. And it's not possible without some sort of support. And we got great support.
We have an amazing community that has sponsored us tonight. I'm going to start at the top with 180 Lounger, because have you seen these views? Can we please give a very big warm round of applause to Chris over there? So thank you for the venue tonight. So thank you, Chris, for the amazing events, location, as well as the food and drinks for later in the evening. We also have Exnilo, who's in the front over here, who you're going to hear a little bit more about later on for the evening. So thank you so much to them. So I want to give a great big warm round of applause for you guys. Almost said warm welcome instead of round of applause. We have Jumo, who's also sponsored tonight. I don't think they are in the room at the moment, as they were going to be a little bit late. However, if you walk across this table over here, there is some swag up for grabs. First come, first serve. So don't all rush there at once, but there are some
t-shirts.
I
see people jumping up already.
There's some t-shirts and books, as well as some stickers and other things there. So go and have a look-see. They are all free for you to take. Next up on the list, we have Trilogy Audio, who's in the back there. A nice big warm round
welcome.
of applause. Warm welcome. They have sponsored all of our technology for tonight, so you're able to hear us due to them, so thank you very much. And then last but not least, we have SUGSA's title sponsor, which is Scrum Alliance, and I'm going to let the next slide do the talking for me, as we have a little video to introduce who they are.
The promise of agility sparked a movement that has inspired new ways of working for more than 20 years. Agility is winning. It must evolve beyond its traditional boundaries. Scrum Alliance proudly stands at the forefront of this evolution, adapting to our ever-changing world with new avenues for learning and embracing agile skills. Our community is the heart of who we are. Your stories are the true testament to the profound impact of agility. At Scrum Alliance, we're committed to certifications with substance, delivered by expert trainers. Scrum Alliance is a global not-for-profit, empowering individuals worldwide with practical, impactful agile skills. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all agility, as we shift into adaptable ways of working applicable to anyone. Join us as we begin this next chapter where agility is more than aspirational. It's foundational. Agile for anyone means agile for you. Discover more at scrumalliance.org.
Cool. So as I mentioned earlier, Scrum Alliance is SUGSA, the Scrum User Group of South Africa's title sponsor, and without them, we would not be here in South Africa, as there's a number of different user groups across the globe.
Yeah. And also in this particular setting, we have some sort of code of conduct. Maybe you want to give it a bit of more information.
So Partner has a code of conduct at their meetup groups, and so does SUGSA. And essentially it boils down to these three things. We don't tolerate trolling, no discrimination or harassment, and no hate speech. If at any point of the night you feel like one of these things has occurred and you would like to come and reach out and speak to us, there's a reminder that you can speak to, or a number of our other SUGSA community members that you can have a chat to and let us know.
And it's always bad to ask for feedback before the actual event has started, but keep in mind, feedback helps us to improve these events, to grow. So whenever you want to share later on during the networking, this feedback will be here, and you can share whatever you think about this event, location, and how it went. We would really appreciate it. The most important thing for you, Food, drinks, and snacks later. You saw already complimentary. We have soft drinks available for you. If you want some alcoholic drinks or beverages, you can buy them at the cash bar over there. And then obviously we'll provide some delicious snacks later on and some food so we don't go hungry home. And yeah, just to mention, the food is halal and we have some vegetarian options available. So everybody should be good and go. Now, I think let's dive into the topic, Charlie.
Are you guys ready to hear a little bit more about Agile? Oh, AI!
Nearly.
Old habits die hard. Are you guys ready to talk about AI? We're going to introduce you to our first speaker and lightning talk of the night, which is our lovely Roman right up here in the front. And little secret, if you go to the next slide, he has actually just given a talk at TEDx. So
I didn't want to put it in the slide deck. She said you have to.
I forced him. I think you have to promote yourself. There's no other way. And I think this is an amazing accomplishment. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Charlie. Yeah, and it's not only that I talked at TEDx, but I took out some things from TEDx for today's talk here and today's input. Because I think when we look at AI, we will quickly think about technology and all these things. And we're going to hear about this way more later. But I want to focus a bit more on that human part as well, because we're all human and it's pretty hard for me to understand AI, honestly. And I have some thoughts which I want to share with you. But first, there are some windsurfers here in the room. I know that. That's me, windsurfing here. So I'm a windsurfer. I love windsurfing. And as you see the wave rolling here, also the AI wave is actually rolling, right? Everywhere, like private life, business life, whatever it is. And we're struggling to keep up with that wave. At least I am. So you can either get crushed or, if you're energetic enough, surf it. The thing is, the AI wave has the biggest impact on our economy we have ever seen. And I found quite some good study around that, which is quite interesting. So if you know ARK Investment, Katie Woods, maybe you heard about that. They did some, or they do regularly big ideas reports, and they're pretty good. Have a look into them. And if you see here at the GDP contribution overall, and we look at things like steam engine, autonomous mobility, and so on, bring them all together and pack them, it's not even reaching probably 2/3 of the impact AI will have until 2030. So we can't deny that AI will change our life in all means, which is pretty challenging, but also a lot of opportunity for us if we use it the right way. And that's what I want to look into a bit today with you. I already said before that 72% of companies are struggling to actually get something out of their AI investments. And there are other studies which show that 95% of enterprise AI initiatives deliver zero measurable return on investment. So you could say, well, we're agile, we're prototyping, we're testing, we're playing around, and one day we might be profitable with this. But it's a shocking number. I mean, nearly 100% just goes waste. Maybe that's just something of new things because we're implementing. Maybe that's just the way how it goes. The question for me is then, what is the problem why we have 95% of these projects and initiatives failing? And I personally don't think the problem is technology. I think technology is pretty good. Look at large language models. I mean, plenty of them. Look at neural networks and their efficiency, incredible. If we look at all the potential different GPTs which we can use now, from Gemini to ChatGPT to Copilot, it's all there, right? Technology, I personally see not as a problem. We have cloud infrastructure, we have companies like Xnilo who provide stuff like that. So it's all really there. But why does it fail then? So I see always when I look at a company and at an organization, these three pillars: technology, people, and organization. And I think we're struggling, especially on the people and organization side. I think when we look at that big wave, I'm questioning, are we ready to surf this wave? Or are we not ready? Because AI has such a massive impact on us. Do we know how to work with it? Do we know how to use it actually the right way? Have we been taught? Or is it just there now coming as that big wave and we are kind of drowning with it? I don't want to, scare you guys, but I just want to emphasize that way of thinking. And MIT also emphasized that way of thinking, and don't be scared, I'm not going to explain that slide, but I took that out of their research, which is pretty interesting. So they conducted a study among people using ChatGPT, and maybe you heard about that study, where they compared people using ChatGPT, people only using their brains, and people using external support such as Google search engines, right? And then they gave them tasks to do, and they scanned their brains while doing that. And guess what? The weakest overall engagement has been found in people who first used ChatGPT, writing an essay, and then citing from it or working with it. 83% of the people who worked first with ChatGPT couldn't quote from the essay they wrote minutes earlier. That's a pretty devastating number. And then the question comes up, why is that? And I personally believe it's not because they're distracted. I think because we are pretty disconnected when we jump straight into AI. Maybe you worked yourself already with all the nice GPTs and jump in, and then you also feel that, well, something came out of there, but I'm not really connected to that. I don't really feel what is happening in there. So that's a bit the point what I want to look at, that people factor. And I believe we need to learn to use AI the right way. And I think the right way would be a way that amplifies our human skills instead of sitting there, maybe replacing us, or even potentially, and I'm now pointing out a bit, making us dump, ? Because we're getting pretty lazy if we're using ChatGPT, if we're using all the tools, right? I mean, it's convenient. I have an agent which writes emails for me, which is pretty cool, but I'm not thinking about that anymore myself. So what does that do to my brain? What does that do to the fact of, actually using AI the right way? And the question is, what do we have as humans? And I see that we as humans have quite some superpowers. And I have 3 superpowers, which I just want to quickly share with you, what I think are a competitive advantage, or which could be amplified when we focus on using AI this way. So the first human superpower I see is contextual intelligence. What do I mean with that? I give you an example. Think about your most favorite food, pizza. Let's say pizza. When you bite into pizza, you're not thinking about chemical structure, data points of it, and whatsoever. No, you feel that warm slice on your hand, you smell it, maybe the aroma carries you back to somewhere in an Italian little restaurant on the coast, or whatsoever. So there are so many contextual points coming together and connecting, which are empirical learned, which are really deep censored in us, which is an actual competitive advantage compared to AI from my perspective. Because we have some consciousness, we can experience meaning as humans, and that allows us to act and react completely different. So if I look at AI, which processes data very well and connects it and brings in information, we still have this subtle emotional, cultural context which shape every decision, what we do, every decision, and we can't deny that. So thinking about boosting our contextual intelligence with AI would be cool. That made us even more superhuman. The other superpower which I have in mind is adaptive resilience. So when I'm windsurfing out there, and probably there are some kiters or windsurfers, the conditions change always. You go out there, you have a sail, you have a board, the board is too big, the board is too small, the sail, it's getting too windy, and you always need to adapt constantly. There's not always that perfect moment. It's always some minor adjustments. And now I have, as a human, have luckily the chance to adapt based on intuition and experiences which I made. Yes, and you would say AI probably learns also from experience and so on. However, I personally believe that we can find as humans some solutions which don't exist yet in any training data set at all. We have this ability to look different and adapt on the way, whereas AI probably doesn't have it yet or won't have it. Question. And last but not least, I say the third human superpower for me is creative problem solving. So when we're looking at that, and then coming back to the MIT study I mentioned before, if you look at the people who used their brains first, they approached the problems they were given completely different. They showed way more engagement in certain areas which were connected to creativity and memory processing, which shows clearly that when we struggle with the problems first, we also come up with better solutions. And that's why I said, I think it's important for us that we need to keep people's ability to recognize problems AI doesn't even realize exist. So our approach of finding things that need to be solved in the first place. And these are 3 human superpowers, I think, which we can boost, which can amplify our way of working with AI. So I wouldn't say it's human against AI. I don't like that picture. It's so bad. It's like in all these movies what we had years ago. It's always like tech versus human. I think it's, just a different approach. We need to look at it as a chance to boost our superpowers, what we have, to boost our humanity, and focus on really bringing it together, collaboration approach, and using it the right way, seeing it as your collaborator, your partner in the company, your teammate. And obviously this needs to be learned, this needs to be trained, this needs to be understood. So I have just 3 practical key takeaways for you. What I would say you could do when you walk out here and think about what that Roman told you. So I think in these 3 areas, I think we're doing very right if we prototype on the left-hand side, but prototype to amplify human needs and not necessarily only replace humans, because I don't think that's the right way. I think we have skills which we will need in future, but we need to boost them. From a people perspective, I think it's very important that we don't get lazy, that we struggle with the challenges ourselves first. Then the solutions will be better when we collaborate with AI afterwards. Absolutely true. But focus on what makes us human, what makes us uniquely good, and then use AI for what AI is really good. Data processing, fast, and whatever it is. And last but not least, I think especially as there is going this hype through the organizations of technology, I think it's good to also focus on your people and invest in your people. We need this room to be creative. We need the ability to fail and to learn with prototyping, whatsoever it is. But we need to upskill, build AI literacy in our companies. However that looks like, with training programs, whatever it is, introduce it in your organizations, bring it in so people can actually use it the right way and not be afraid of, AI will take everything away from me. So let's focus on amplifying our humanity with AI rather than replacing it. That's a bit my credo for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roman. I just want to give one last very big round of applause to Roman for his amazing talk. Next up, we have Lee Lennox from Exponential, who is going to be taking us through his lightning talk.
My lightning talk. Boy, 1, 2, 3. Hello, everyone. How's it to the streamers? It's lovely to have everyone here this evening. Thanks for taking your time out to be with us. We really appreciate it. My name's Lee Lennox. I'm the product manager, or a product manager at Exponential. And I look after the self-managed portfolio of products, which includes a range of our co-location, our cloud, and our dedicated server products. For those of you that aren't familiar with Exponential, we have been around for 25 years. We offer reliable enterprise-grade hosting, and we host tens of thousands of websites and applications in South Africa. Today, I wanted to share a little bit about what we're seeing amongst our customers. Our customers are typically SMEs, so small to medium enterprises, and what we're seeing, AI, the impact that AI is having amongst our customer base. We'll take a brief look at some of the digital. Sorry. Should I push that button? We'll take a brief look at where the AI landscape is, or at least what we're seeing, and then look at a few real-world examples of how we're seeing customers integrating AI into their applications, into their workflows, and making it part of their everyday way of work. And then I'll also present a little bit of what we at Exponential are doing and some of the solutions that we're looking to develop to enable our customers to be able to thrive in this new era. Get it right this time. There we go. Cool. So AI has become a bit of a nebulous term. I mean, it's a catchphrase now. Everything's AI. And it seems to be everything, and it seems to be nothing all at the same time. And at the one end of the spectrum, we've got global players that are training and developing, billion and trillion parameter models that are completely just changing entire industries. And at the other end of the spectrum, we've got just millions of people that are using AI nowadays for image generation and content creation and productivity and just general everyday tasks, even companion AIs. But as a provider of self-managed solutions, we're starting to see something in the middle. So we're seeing everyday businesses, small to medium enterprises, that are now incorporating AI into their applications. So, whatever application they may have, they're now looking to augment AI into that by adding a layer of artificial intelligence to improve efficiency, to improve productivity, to create more value in the products that they're delivering. So maybe let's take a look at some of our, what we've experienced. Exnilo is implementing AI. We've been also kind of exploring it to see, how we can utilize it in our own organization and in our own application to be able to improve our efficiency. We've been testing some of our self-hosted AI models to enhance engineering and our support workflows. So some of our applications have been, we've got a significant team of developers. So we've been using it for code reviews. We've also got a significant team of support consultants. That's where Charlie originally came from, who provide support to our customers, and we've been utilizing AI in that process as well. We've also, incorporated into our security now, so cybersecurity, to be able to, detect patterns and improve our overall security posture. And these are just some of the ways that we are utilizing AI, which, is out there, to be able to constantly improve. It's kind of what Ramon was saying, how do we take what we as humans are already doing and be able to make it better by supplementing it with, this technology that's available to us. Well, I'm not getting this right here. Okay, I'll have to just follow this. And the impact has been really transformative. We've reduced manual effort, we've gained richer insights, we've strengthened our overall security posture, and we're really starting to see the benefit that AI is having on us as an organization. But we're not the only ones. We've also seen, let me skip through to that one of our customers. We've been working very closely with a company called FutureSoft, who's been one of our beta participants in a beta program that we've been running. And they are a company that offers call center and debt collection processes, and they've incorporated AI into their application in order to be able to do some new and exciting things. In particular, they are doing voice transcription and analysis. So their particular use case is that they're able to transcript the voice to text and then do analysis on that. So, for example, the call center agents that we all love who phone us and try and sell us insurance and cell phones and things like that, they're able to actually convert that, analyze that, and then make recommendations back to the call center agents and to management. So that's now using AI in a practical way in order to be able to try and improve the application that they're offering. But they did have some real challenges in implementing this. So in the early days, when, oops, I'm really not getting this right. Okay. In the early days when they started, they found that CPU-only servers just couldn't keep up with the compute requirements, so it just wasn't powerful enough. Another one of their major challenges was just the sensitivity. So their data is quite sensitive. They're also governed by the POPI Act, and so pushing their data off to third-party AI services was problematic, and there was a need to be able to try and retain that data and keep it on site so that they could avoid those privacy and security concerns. They also needed to customize the models. So as much as nowadays we can download models or you can use models on various AI hosted services, your ability to customize them is often limited. So in their case, they wanted to be able to fine-tune the models. They wanted to be able to, add their own data into that in order to be able to optimize it. Okay. And lastly, they needed to be able to do this in a cost-effective manner. And they were really battling to get that working, on traditional hardware. And they looked at various different cloud alternatives, but, had various different challenges with that. In their case, the solution was working with us on a GPU-enabled server, which became the backbone of the application workflow. It gave them the power to run larger models. So with those larger models, they were able to increase their accuracy. And I think they quoted 20 to 30% increase in accuracy by being able to use these larger models. And they were also able to use more extensive features. So they were able to incorporate some of the other features that were available to them in the AR model. Okay. Tasks that previously took days for them were now completed in hours. So they were able to get insights, way rapidly and be able to process stuff almost in real time and send recommendations back. So they were completely enabled with better decision making and better compliance. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Okay. I'm not even going to try and explain this diagram, but this is ultimately what the customer has built using our infrastructure. And to put it in their words, they now had the freedom to optimize every layer of the stack. I think what both of these experiences highlight is how you can utilize AI within your organization. So yes, it's a buzzword, and yes, there's all these little gimmicky toys that you can play with, but the reality is that you can actually use AI and implement it within your application workflow and see real productivity gains. Okay. But reflecting on our experience, so considering what we've seen in our own application, as well as what we're seeing coming from our customers, there are some real challenges that are introduced with AI. Okay. In particular, cost remains a significant deterrent, particularly for cloud-based solutions and for hosted AI solutions, and that becomes a major blocker for many customers who are looking to adopt cloud solutions. Cool. Exponential is going to be launching a new GPU-powered self-managed server in 2026. Okay. For those of you that we want to try and make that a little simpler, essentially what we're going to be doing is we offer customers self-managed servers, and this particular model is going to come with a NVIDIA card, which is focusing more on the customers that are looking to do AI inference or to fine-tune models. So we're not looking to play in the space where people are training billion parameter models. We're looking for customers that are wanting to augment their applications with AI functionality and then to be able to fine-tune that. The particular model that we're going to be released, as I say, will come with this enterprise-grade GPU running an AMD CPU with sufficient memory storage and also the ability to interconnect that with a high-speed network. The main benefits of this to a customer is first and foremost cost. So I touched briefly on, if you're implementing AI in your organization, you may want to look at some kind of a GPU cloud service. So you could use AWS, for example, and run GPU as a service, but your challenges there may be cost for one, data sovereignty could become an issue for you, privacy may become an issue, and if you want to integrate it into your application workflow, you may find that latency is an issue. And by that I mean the amount of time that it's going to take to go from your application to a model and then to come back to you. Hosting your AI model on a local GPU server, besides being more cost effective, will give you the benefit of reduced latency, and also keeping it within your control. You resolve concerns around privacy and data sovereignty, as well as giving you the ability to completely customize your stack. So meaning that you can actually change the model to suit your optimal requirements, as opposed to using perhaps a third-party hosted model where your ability to customize is quite limited. Oh, excuse me, I've jumped ahead here. So in summary, really, AI is here to stay. I think we all realize that right now. It is transforming the way that we work. It is transforming the digital landscape. It's automating tasks, providing faster insights, and enabling better decisions. But it does bring with it certain challenges, particular performance, latency, security, cost, and scalability. But there are different options to be able to provide different infrastructure options for cloud. Sorry, excuse me, for AI. You can use cloud, as I mentioned. You can use a hosted AI, or you can use a local GPU server. We've developed our model, our GPU-based model, to try and cater for what we think are the challenges that customers are going to deal with if they want to embrace AI and incorporate them into the application workflows. And we're really excited to launch that next year and hopefully enable small businesses to be able to take advantage of this and see AI really transform their way of work and have real benefits to the organizations. Cool. I'm particularly interested in hearing what you guys are using AI for in your own environments, and whether anyone is incorporating it into their applications and some of the benefits you may be experiencing. Anyone got any examples they want to use? Anyone?
I use it mostly for coding and even to create the business proposal. It's just instant. Sorry. Means AI has actually impacted all of our lives, and you can use it in a lot of aspects. But for me personally, I do like to create websites from AI. That's why it's like type a response and it's just there. So, and for coding perspective, and the most important thing what I like is this very contextual answering that it is giving. So I use AI in making my projects, business proposals, and also for coding every day. So it's pretty cool. And I come from an era where we used to code just by by Google searching. And now when the AI comes and how it has really empowered and changed the way and how it is reshaping IT is very, very interesting. Yes, I was blown away. The things that I used to do in hours, it's done in minutes now.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks.
Are there any companies here that perhaps are already starting to integrate AI into existing applications?
So now you've asked a different question. So my answer is to the previous question. So I think the most interesting thing that I've been involved in, and I'm involved in it at the moment, is helping a group in the US. I do training of coaching and facilitation, amongst other things. And we're busy working out how do we use AI as an audience to practice things like facilitation skills? How do you train up, I'm not even sure what you call them, but how do you train up? In the old days, we would give you a little card to say, okay, so we're going to do a simulation now, and these are your characteristics. You're a deep techie who's not really interested in joining a stand-up and actually just wants to get back to your desk. So, training Mel? LLMs. Yeah, maybe LLMs, yeah. To be like that. So the mind blown.
Thanks for sharing. Anyone else?
Yes, in our company, so we have Canvas, which is a data collection platform. It's a form builder. And in the past, it was a platform where when customers onboard onto it, they would build their own forms or they would outsource professional services from us. So recently we implemented an AI form builder, which has actually made our professional services redundant, but it's also impacted the customers to build their own applications, which they never used to do. So that's a positive. And it's also redirected the company's main commercialization strategy, which was B2B selling. But now, because customers can build their own forms because of the AI form builder, we are now focusing on partnerships. So it has completely changed the whole structure of the organization, both in a positive and obviously job impactful way. Many might say in a negative way. But yeah, that's just one example on how we've implemented AI into our product.
Thanks for sharing. I think there's 3 real-world examples of how people are actually using it and rethinking the way that they work. I was told I had to limit it to 3 questions, so I'll have to cut it there. Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you so much, Lee. If you'd like to ask Lee some more questions later, he'll be outside available to you to network with. But for now, we are going to head off into our main event for the night, which is our AI panel. And I'm going to ask Roman to come up and introduce the rest of the panel to us.
Yeah. Thank you, Lee, very much for your input. I promised you an exciting panel discussion, and I think it will be because we have many interesting people joining the stage now. You'll see here Terry, Malena, I will be moderating, Tobias, and Toshi and Joe. And now I just need my notes because I don't know all the description by heart, but I have written down some nice introductions for each. So I want to start off with Terry. Terry, may I ask you to come up on stage? So Terry is a senior Scrum Master and Advanced Analytics AI Specialist with tons of experience in AI transformation, software development, analytics team. Let's welcome Terry.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Malena. I just learned Danish, but living in South Africa, an internationally recognized enterprise AI specialist and certified Scrum trainer. So let's welcome Malena here on stage. Thanks for being here. Next up is a friend of mine coming from Germany, yes, extra for this event, and visiting me as well. Tobias, come up on stage. He's CEO, AI strategist, and lecturer at the University of Rosenheim in Germany. And then Toshi, I'm very happy to get you up here on stage. Toshi is solution architect, certified Scrum Master, and over 12 years of experience in software development.
Thanks.
And last but not least, we have some deep technical knowledge as well. We have Joe here as AI prompt engineer at Exponential, who's very passionate about business, AI, and his love for nature. So welcome, Toshi. Thank you. All right, so we're getting some mics sorted, and I'm also sitting down now. How are we doing? All good?
Good. Good.
Everybody happy? Perfect. So how's it going to work out now? I want to moderate a bit of discussion, and I brought some questions for each of you. And then I want to actually open up the space also to the audience. I will have a look at my tablet as well, because we might get some questions in from the live stream. So yes, also the live stream can ask questions in the chat. Please do so. I will have access to that. And I think just to give you a bit of an idea, the theme for this panel discussion, we framed it a bit around human meets AI, what transformation means today. And that's pretty broad, so we're probably going to touch various areas. I'm probably going to start with the first question, which is heading to you, Terry, if that's all right. So you're the man of the evening now. So you are standing for Agile. You know as a Scrum Master what it means to work with people. What do you think, from a perspective, Agile was designed for human collaboration and adaptability. But from your perspective, how does AI fit into Agile teams today, into project work, into product work? Is it, enhancing agility, or does it actually create more challenging work? What is your input and experience around AI so far?
Okay, so I think I'll take it slightly back to what you mentioned earlier, which was the people, organization, and I think the technology. So obviously Agile itself has been around much longer. The technology has always been changing. But if you look at where we are at right now, AI is just a new technology, a new tool that we can then use to add on to it. If you remember, some of you started working within Agile before there was Jira or any of these other tools. And all you have to do is view AI in that way. So if you look at how it enhances agility for the Scrum team themselves, the developers, a lot of you are already using, various tools for your code reviews, to automate various tasks, to generate documentation. from a product perspective, to generate documentation a lot faster, to be able to translate requirements a lot better. And as a Scrum Master, one of my favorite F words is feedback. And where it comes in is it becomes almost like an objective personal assistant where I can then unpack the insights, have an objective opinion as to, challenging some of the assumptions that we make when we look at this data and then make recommendations based off that. But that said, humans do have a tendency to mess up things. So there are instances where AI can then start taking away from the agility. And I think one of the main important things is, humans already have this ability to mess things up. That only becomes a lot bigger if you give them suits and put them in a boardroom, right? So, what you mentioned about corporates and, all these 95% of companies are not seeing any value back. And that is because, again, they default to focusing on the output and not the outcomes, right? And especially, the fallacy of the sunken cost. You have organizations that go in and spend huge amounts of money on, this AI tool, and then they stick to it no matter what and sink more costs into it. Whereas agility itself means being able to respond to the change and respond to the market.
So does AI help you in your daily work as a Scrum Master?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's perfect. Yeah. We have another Agile specialist, and we're staying a bit in this Agile world still before we go more in the tech parts. Malina, thanks for being here. I also brought a question for you, and maybe you can also relate to what Terry is saying, and I think you can. But from your perspective, what do you think? Where's the sweet spot between, Agile practice and AI capabilities? Maybe you have some experience you want to share with your teams and your coaching you're doing.
Yes, now
it's working on now.
So I reckon with everything you said, and also in your lightning talk, it is about the humans, and we need to get better at that. So as you're saying, how can you benefit from AI? So the mistake I actually see many people doing is just treat it as a colleague that always gives you the right answer.
Right.
What I mean by that is that AI is only as good as you are. If you're not good at using AI, you won't get value out of AI. So the biggest mistake I actually see more people do, I can make a simple Agile example, how do I facilitate a good retrospective? But what does a good retrospective actually mean? Mm. So the challenge is a little bit right now that the transformation of becoming Agile have in many places not even succeeded. Right. And now we try to implement AI on top of it. So when I saw your number in your lightning talk where I say many fail, well, you haven't probably not even gotten Agile right. Yeah. So are we mature enough to even go into the AI space? Back to your, I could relate a lot because the whole human aspect of it. The biggest challenge I see is we have not even created a place for humans. Mm. We are still stuck in a bit of an industrial way of working, meaning we like to tell people what to do. If we like to tell people what to do, AI could take over. So I want to challenge all of you that sit here. Is your company actually Agile? And not Agile in, hey, I stand up in the morning, I have a Kanban board. No, are they human focused? Have your company transformed into having value as a human outcome instead of output, right? Yes. And I think that is a big topic for the future if we need to go on this AI journey. How do we create company that empowers human so AI just become the tool?
I like that very much, yeah.
Yes.
It's, you wanted to add something?
No. I think it's what you
so you're warning from blindly automating Agile practices and just, give it over to AI. You're thinking human first as well, what I understand from your perspective.
Human first, and then also challenge yourself. If you're an Agile coach, Scrum Master using AI today, to give you an example, give me a framework of facilitating retrospective. You're getting the easiest way, right? But does that give you any value? Like what I like to say is it's based on data. So it can't just be this. If you repeat your own question, give me a facilitation of retrospective, how would you know it's good enough? So challenge yourself. What is actually the problem statement? So one of the lightning talks, I don't know if you have a show woman right in the whole thing, what is actually the problem rather than the solutions? Yeah. What are we trying to solve? So I see way too many teams do retrospective over and over again, do daily stand-up over and over again. If I ask, what is the value? No, we have to do it because Scrum says so. Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah.
So back to that whole output
outcome over
Versus
output
output.
is more than ever important. What is the value in what we do? Same with actually now introducing AI. What are you trying to do and what would you like to have changed? Don't just go blindly into using AI, because when we do that, we repeat the same anti-patterns we've done over and over again, and it doesn't solve anything. And that's what you need to be aware of.
Great. Thank you for that input. Tobias, let's talk a bit cloud. I mean, you work a lot as a cloud specialist with bigger cloud setups, with bigger transformations. And I see AI is very fast, right? So what is your experience when you think about organizations? How can organizations actually balance the speed of this implementation, but still being sustainable and creating value of it? Maybe you can share some experiences.
Yeah, sure. I think companies must establish something I would call as a center of excellence for AI and focus on 3 different pillars. And if they work together, it's a perfect fit, I would say. It's people and culture. We have heard a lot about it. You must upskill all employees. They must understand why they use these tools and not use the tool because it's there. Then the next is data and AI governance. I think it's really important that you know which data has the company, how can I use it, which ethical values, for example, do we have. Even things like bring your own AI is not the best thing. If you think about a security task or something like that. And the last is, I would say, a clear AI or a clear strategy and focus on the outcome, what we already have heard, because the tools are just new tools. And I think you need a way. I think everyone knows DevOps from the developer perspective, but you also need an ML ops where you come from the idea to production and you need a clear process. You can adapt AI fast and let people experiment with AI with all the different tools, but then you have to implement a clear process how you get productive with that. And then I think you get outcome from your AI tools and don't buy any AI tools even because it's cool or something like that.
Right. So you separating between prototyping and actually in production in terms of implementing AI solutions?
Yeah, I would say it's good to try out and fail fast.
Right.
But you need processes you can scale. And when you scale it, you have to train it to the people. If somebody has a good process or a good way of work with AI, then tell it to everyone. So that is something the Center of Excellence for AI can do for you. Yeah. And there you can upskill the people. And perhaps there are some processes AI can do for you. So I think in the future, perhaps everyone talks about AI agents right now, but there are not few companies who actually build it or have it in their organizational charts because they just talk about the technology and don't think about what is the outcome, what this tool can do for me. And I think there is so much work to do. And as you mentioned, the technology is not the biggest problem, because I don't know if any one of you want to build a large language model. The tools are there, you can buy it, but you actually have to know what is the thing you want to solve, and then you can buy the right tool for the case, and then you need a clear strategy, and then you can stay fast, I would say.
Right. So we might see AI agents in organizational charts soon instead of actual employees. Might be interesting thought. Toshi, you're already nodding. What Tobias is saying, you're
Definitely.
also in the same area, right?
Yes.
The same field as an expert in this IT perspective. Maybe also from your side, when you think about implementing it, what do you think is the most overlooked but critical challenge for organizations currently? Maybe you have some experiences.
Yeah, I will go back to the slide that you actually discussed,
Yes.
where human is the problem, it's not the technology. Of course, the technology that we have is absolutely it's very good.
Yeah.
We have the tool, but we don't know how to use it. And especially from the organization perspective, because it's a buzzword, all the organization just wants to move on to the AI without doing the groundwork that if it is going to work for them or not. So there are a lot of challenges in the IT perspective or from the IT or any company side, that if they will be able to integrate the AI in their organization or not, is the first question that you should be asking. So the challenge is not from the tool side or from the algorithmic side. It is from the, if the organization has the right infrastructure to do that, if they have the proper governance and the data, the legit data source to do those things, to train the model or not, and most probably to come up with the idea, to come up with the situation that is your organization definitely need it or not, or do you have the right deployment tool to deploy your models or not, or do you have the right skill for the IT architecture to deploy the models or not. So these are the very basic questions that all the organizations should be asking.
Right.
I'll give an example, like there are a lot of things that can be done by a normal chatbots, but organizations are really after that, okay, let's just introduce AI who can do our work, without even understanding that if these works can be done by a bots, or do we really need it?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. Secondly, let's say from the IT infrastructure sides, because the legacy system used to run on a certain architecture where we were using a lot of APIs and a lot of middlewares, but with the new model or the new, the data models that is introduced, we don't use those, the CPUs or the legacy infrastructure. We need to upgrade it. That's a cost. So when we have to upgrade to those things, is organization ready for that or not? And also, let's say the main other thing is, while training the data for the AI model, in the legacy system, or let's say in any organization, we have the data, but we don't have the legit data source, or we don't know where all those data has been collected.
Right.
And when we are training the model on those things, those model will have the biases. So we have to be very careful that not only the performance should not only by the just the technology, like how the deployment is coming, how the CPU is performing, it's also on the model, it is legit or not, it is giving the information without the biasness or not. So there are actually real world challenges whenever a company wants to move on to the AI thing. They really have to understand on all these things, if they are ready from the architecture, the cost perspective, and actually to find out that is it the right move for them to take it. And that is why it's a big challenge these days. And I remember in your slide you mentioned 95% of them are failing because of these challenges, and they don't spend time on that. And last but not the least, also from the project management side, the proper change management should be introduced. We don't pay much attention on the change management side from the project management. This kind of major change cannot be done where human together with technology, everything has to be properly documented and then properly introduced in the company with a proper plan. Then only it will be a success. That's how I feel about it.
And how much legacy do you see in companies currently? What's your feeling? Are they prepared, or?
See, I worked in a lot of insurance and the banking system. Trust me, whenever they say they have the cutting edge technology and all, at the back of the system, they're still using a lot of legacy system, especially the APIs. And the APIs, whenever like I was working where they wanted to move from a normal means, I'll use a technological term like MuleSoft API to the AWS API, and even that itself became such a challenge for us because the companies are really not prepared. So moving from that and to bringing AI or the data model, it is really a big challenge because our middleware, like the communication, I'm sure I think I'm going too technical, but we are not ready because our middleware in most of the companies are not built to move on to the data models. And that is why it means, the company are failing first because it's a lot of cost.
Right.
Secondly, also when you monitor these data model trainings, generally what we do whenever we used to deploy a website or anything, we generally monitor the CPU performance and how many attacks are coming, and this is the normal dashboard. Whenever you do it, you see it on the dashboard how it is. But when it comes to the data model or the AI thing deployment, it is definitely very different because here we don't have to do just the CPU monitoring. The major shift is the GPU that we are deploying it on that. And another thing is, it's not only the CI/CD deployment. Machine learning language deployment is a little different. So these things, means the company are slowly moving it, but it's a major shift. As I said, just normal from the MuleSoft to the AWS software means the APIs that what we were doing. it means it was really a big difficulty for us to do it. So definitely it's the buzzword, want to move, but are we prepared or not? It's a big question.
Sounds like we have a lot to do in the next years. I know that there's still somebody more here in the panel, and actually I don't know how old is the position actually, your title, prompt engineer. I don't know if that existed 6 years ago. I don't know. What would you say?
When I got the role initially, I was in a different role with the same company.
Right.
And I just started playing with artificial intelligence. I built a couple of tools, and then the company noticed and said, yes, please do more of this for the rest of us. What shall we call you? And it was a room with blank faces. No one knew what to do. We just asked ChatGPT to give us a couple of examples, and that is why I am called an AI prompt engineer at the moment.
Okay, can you maybe explain what is a prompt engineer doing?
A prompt engineer. Don't get too caught up in the name. It goes a little bit further than just creating prompts. If that were
That's
the
what
case,
he's saying now.
We would be in a room filled with prompt engineers if that were the case. But basically what my role boils down to is I look at existing workflows, what people are currently doing, what they're struggling with, what they're trying to achieve, but they can't really get there yet. And then looking at the problem they have at hand and the resources they're trying to achieve their goals, I put AI in the middle to connect the two with each other, to enable human resource AI collaboration to solve the issue in the end. So that, yeah.
All right, so you already just mentioned a bit human AI collaboration. And I have a bit of a question for you, because that's obviously a thing, and I stressed it in my talk before as well, but if you're looking at organizations, should we now hire more prompt engineers, or what do you think? How can we improve that human AI collaboration? We heard a lot about upskilling people. Obviously, your role comes in there as well. It's a different language. I need to probably talk to some sort of GPT. What are your takes on, getting better in talking to AI?
Yeah. So just like you wouldn't have a company filled with just software engineers, you shouldn't have a company filled with prompt engineers either. Having them around is certainly useful, thank goodness. But you don't need to have everyone in your company upskilled to the level where they can really specialize the AI to perform a certain role. That role or that responsibility should remain on the prompt engineer. So having a few prompt engineers skilled, embedded in your business is good enough. However, it would be necessary for hopefully the majority or everyone in the business to have a certain level of AI literacy. So I'm sure if you go on YouTube or Udemy or Coursera, all of you would have seen the prompt engineering tips 101 or how to talk to ChatGPT or 10 life hacks to improve your productivity. There is a limit to how much you need to spend on there. I would recommend watching one, maybe two of those courses, because there is a little bit of benefit that you can pull from it, especially one of the main points of struggle that I've noticed integrating these systems into a company is people's avoidance of these tools. They're afraid of AI because they don't necessarily understand it, they haven't interacted with it enough. So if you introduce them to one or two of these small tools, they'll start to notice that it isn't necessarily something to be afraid of. It isn't so unfamiliar. A short introduction into how to interact with these tools, and then a specialized team actively working with these people, designing the tools in such a way so that they don't have to be experts in order to reap benefit from it, is by far the approach I've seen have the strongest effect with enabling companies.
Yeah. Tobias, I want to zoom out one more thing, because as said, he's also working majority of your time in Germany or around, Europe. Maybe, and that might be interesting because we are in Cape Town in South Africa, but we have also European joining. What is your take on AI in Europe currently, and maybe Germany? Do you have some input, some perspectives? I know a lot of regulations are happening there, which we don't have so much yet here in South Africa, but maybe you can give a bit more input.
Yeah, we have a lot of regulations in the European Union. For example, we have an AI Act, which you have to follow. And there is a lot of, it's a risk-based approach, I would say. So if you implement high-risk AI, for example, if you want to decide if a CV is good or not, you have to document it, and there's a lot of regulation in Europe yet. But I think the main thing in Europe is still the same as in South Africa or in Cape Town, that a lot of companies actually have these tools and are not able to connect the data because of legacy systems, because the software vendors lag behind the new technologies. And I would say the AI superpower is coming just when the software vendors are enabled you to implement all the data you need to actually fulfill a specific task. And I would say even if you have a company GPT or something like a Copilot or JetGPT, it's just your entry point for the world, but you need the data to solve the problem for your company. And that's, I would say, a big problem right now, because it's not that, or most of the tools are more or less independent, and you can't work as one big tool. And I think that's one of the data governance
challenges,
and a really big challenge.
How do you access data in your work, Joe? Do you work with massive data, or how does that work? Do you just pull your emails and then write prompts to write better answers, or do you have an example?
Yeah, this is context engineering, ensuring that the assistant you're interacting with or the agent you're interacting with has the necessary data it needs to successfully answer or solve whatever problem you're throwing its way. It is very difficult. It is the biggest challenge when implementing AI solutions in your company. And the solution is to ensure that your data structures are set up properly, to ensure that you have data lakes specified for certain use cases, and then that you have a single source of truth that you need to update instead of various assistants poking hundreds of with many touch points in order to achieve their goal. That's how you start talking to an assistant that has information from 2 months ago, as opposed to cutting edge, exactly what we need right now. So it is a difficult process, but it is, you can beat it with good business practices, ensuring you have a single source of truth and centralizing your data.
Before I open the room that you can ask questions, I want to just look at Terry and Malina again, as you are also working very much with people, right, in your work. And we heard about that fear of AI. And I don't know, maybe you, Terry, and then afterwards, Malina, you can say something good. Do you experience that fear in your daily work with your teams? How are people reacting to it? Is it a challenge for you, or is it actually that people are open and want to do more?
So I think, and this is probably like an industry-wide thing, is that initially when AI first came into the scene, there was a very huge fear. A lot of people were either too scared to use it, how does it work, and so on. Also scared of losing their jobs to it. And then as the buzzwords started going around, we've actually started to see the opposite of it, where people almost overly rely on AI to the point where they treat it as an unquestionable, always correct, guru of sorts.
Yes.
So it's trying to get that balance to ensure that there's that responsible use of AI. So, when people talk about responsible use of AI, in most cases, people are looking at, the ethical, the data governance and so on, but there is also a need to train people in the right ways to use AI, and to also understand that as any other tool, it has its limitations. You cannot just throw everything at it and think that it will be correct. I think some of you might have seen this article about somebody from one of the top consulting firms, where they ended up, delivering a $400,000 report fully in AI that was laced with errors. And it comes down from that, where people came from the fear and almost got a bit too comfortable with AI.
Which is encouraging on the other side, because it still shows that we humans are needed, right?
I think, as with everything, you need to tread carefully, because if there's the over-reliance on the AI, then you only amplify the problems that you face as an organization, because you are not leveraging the actual skills that you have within the people and the knowledge. You're relying on an AI, which if it is wrong and it is being applied en masse in an organization, it can literally bring the whole thing down.
Yeah. Malina, maybe your work with teams and people, what role is fear playing?
I think they're beyond the fear, but we have a next stage now.
Okay.
And that's the lying stage, or I don't want to be honest about it.
Okay.
So we're beyond the fear, and we saw this also with Agile. So if I look out here in the room, is anybody actually okay with saying, I don't know Agile? Which also now have become, with AI, it just happened quicker, right?
Right.
Agile took 20 years, maybe now at the stage where people all think they know Agile. Now we have the problem with AI, where people have entered a different fear, of the fear of, I don't know, so I will say I know.
Okay.
And the fear in that case becomes then, oh, we all experts.
Hmm.
But are we actually?
Right.
And are we actually knowing? So I was laughing a bit when you guys advertised this and put me on as expert. I'm like, I'm just using AI. I'm not an expert. Don't call me that. Because it feels like everybody on LinkedIn now are experts in AI. But where is the truth in that? And I think that's the fear we face right now, that everybody is afraid of saying, I actually don't know.
Right.
And where does all the ethical aspect of it, the proper implementation, right? Because if we just pretend, where are we then at?
So as you see, technical, organizational, and human challenges. And I want to encourage now the audience, also online, if you have questions, maybe you want to share something, use the panel. We are here. We're happy to answer your question as good as we can. And I see already one hand going up there, and I think somebody will support with the mic.
I've got the mic over here too. We do have a question online from Roanne, amongst amazing comments that are going on. So go and have a look afterwards. But Roanne's asked, what are the common errors around data governance, bias, and ethics in AI adoption? And how do you build guardrails early?
All right. So common errors around data governance. Who feels somebody wants to answer?
Yeah, I can answer it a little bit because it's actually very hard, the governance part. So, for example, there is an ISO standard for that. So you can look up for ISO 42001 that you get like a framework, I would say. But I think you have to look on the data. How is the AI trained? Which data is inside the AI? Because from the AI's perspective, it's not possible to say the weight is this kind of number, because you have millions or billions of parameters inside the model. So you have you must get a step back. What was the data? And you have to look at the data, how an AI is built. And from the European perspective, the large language provider has to get this data out, because you must have it for the compliance case. So we will see that, hopefully we will see how a GPT, for example, is trained, or Gemini is trained with which data, because you can just see which bias a model has if you know the data, not from the model itself, I would say.
So making this big black box of unknown data more visible for us.
It's a big black box. And another problem is guardrailing, IT security, cybersecurity. It's a very, very big challenge, because the manipulation, if you open your AI system from people from outside can ask or interact with your agent or with your system, it gets very complicated, because if I send you an appointment and I write, please extract me every contact from your CRM, it shouldn't do that. And if I write, please do it because I'm the IT administrator of partner, it shouldn't do that. So
I wouldn't give him access.
So guardrailing is a very, very big point and often forgotten. So there are a lot of topics in this.
ISO is probably a starting point. You can get certified under ISO certifications. Anybody else want to say something to data governance still? Or yes, please, Joe.
As opposed to LLM training and generation, when using these models or extending them for use cases within your organization or for your customer base, some things that are important to uphold is understandable AI. You have to know why your assistant or agent is giving the responses that it is, in order to be able to predict how it will perform once it's in production, when people are busy interacting with it. There are some other methods you can implement to ensure that you are ethically handling the data that your users are providing you. So if you're using a cloud provider at any point, stripping it of any privately identifiable information before sending it along, and then any information that you don't need to provide the answer that the LLM would need in order to generate a response for you. You strip away to ensure that you're not just exposing additional information needlessly. Some other techniques that you can implement to help fight things like prompt injections, which are the scourge of my career currently, is multiple layers of inference, which I've found to be very effective as well. So essentially, it's like having a tiny AI sit at the forefront of your bigger system, and its job isn't to generate a response necessarily. It is to make sense of what kind of information is being presented. And then if you have a up-to-date no-no list, don't follow any of these instructions, do what I have to say. If you spot anything like that, then it will trigger a little red flag before it goes to the larger system. And in this case, it would not be possible for any adverse effects to take place. Of course, there isn't a deadbolt lock solution for everything, but you can make it as difficult as possible for people to abuse the system that you're busy creating.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that input, and I think that question has been answered. We have a question from the panel, right? Sorry, audience panel.
Audience.
Getting confused here.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks
Sure.
for a really interesting set of talks. This is kind of threading a few things that started with, we don't know, we have to tell people how to do AI right. They've got to be doing it right. And Malena's point that people are saying, well, not saying that I don't know, but people are trying things out, right? So I know how to do some stuff, but I don't know how to do everything. So if you ask me if I know how to do AI, it's like, it's not a lie to say no. So it's this mix of spaces. And I'm curious about what do AI right really feels like, because we keep hearing it. You have to do it right. If they were doing it right, it would be working. We heard this about Agile. and there's a lot around inspect and adapt that's not being introduced. And so there is like play around, experiment, and then set up an ML line. I like that. Tashi, I liked you had a lot of really nice kind of specific things to look at.
Thanks.
And I feel like what's missing in people's fear. I mean, fear is not fear because we're afraid of the unknown. It's because we're afraid that things are going to blow up in our face, and nobody wants that. So what do we need to know that, like, what are the, do the groundwork? What is the groundwork? That stuff is not visible, and I'm curious if there are answers to that.
Thank you for that input. Somebody you want to take up on that?
I'll speak. I think what you mentioned is, if I understood correctly, like how to know that if you're doing it right in the AI space or not. I'm sorry? Guidelines, yes. See, if you ask me, I take it as like what I really want to work on AI, using AI in what is my context of working, because this field is so big, right? So if I am a project manager, let's say, and let's say I'm just using Jira or something, I would like to get trained in that perspective, because this field is huge and you can't be expert in everything. Like it's like now AI is empowering all the fields. So how I look at it is how I want to empower myself by using the AI tool. So like I love to code and I love to do the presentation and all. I use it every day, day in and day out. So I feel still I have a lot to learn in that. But if you ask me, the other day I was creating a blog. It's such a simple thing, right? You have to edit the video and do the voiceover. Every time I see it on Instagram, people are doing voiceover and I'm like, oh, it's so easy. Trust me, it took me 2 days to do that. I don't know how people are doing it. So my takeaway is, and what I understood, the guideline is, if whatever you are working into the field, if you want to get expert in that, use that particular field of yours and get trained in AI in that. If you're a project manager, if you're a PPT builder or means whatever, just use the guideline using that. And for me, the best tool is the ChatGPT. It will give you all the guideline, how you want to, what you want, whatever context you want to use it. I think that will be the guideline, and ask the right question. What means the other panelists were also saying, that's also something to ask the right question to learn it, and also learn how to ask the follow-up question to get more well-versed into that. Did I answer your question, or was it something specific you were looking into it?
We still have Malena. She also wants to say something, and I also have some thoughts around it.
So for me, it's not directly, am I doing it right? For me, is that, do we have the conversation? And I'll say, doing it right is doing it agile. What do I mean by that? Well, firstly, create transparency. If we don't start to create the transparency so we can see what we're doing to inspect and adapt, and then the whole experimentation, right? What is agile about? It's about a feedback loop. Let's take an experiment, because it's all new to us. So this is why I keep saying agile and AI go so well hand in hand. Because what's the summary of agile? Well, it is a small experiment we can learn from. But without transparency, inspect and adapt, we cannot adjust. And that's the challenge right now. So it's not about, am I doing it wrong? It's actually, I'm seeing the lack is the transparency. So we can inspect and adapt, so we can learn. And how quickly can we do that? And then to add on to it, something I often, the people I work with in AI, I always say, what are you trying to achieve? Like, what is your goal here? How do we know we would have achieved it? Because what I see, when we see the waste, it's probably because we have everybody, we try something. And I worked with a company that said, the more you can use AI, the better your key performance will be. I'm like, did you see how your waste went up? Because what's that to measure? Oh, I had actually an example where they used 2 hours to create 2 teams. Like, but why? Because we should use AI. That's just a silly example, right? Not because it suddenly was in the KPI. So now we see so much waste. So start with, why are we doing it? What are we trying to achieve? Because without that, we can't measure. And then create a small experiment saying, are we solving it or not? When we solve it, we can move on to the next one. That's agile, right?
And maybe let me add on that as well, and I see your question. I think, and we are working a lot with organizations as well, and I think it's absolutely right to play, to prototype, to fail, and that's fully okay. But I think you touched base on that before, Tobias. There's a difference between, are we playing or are we in production? And I think that's a huge thing we need to understand. And if we aim for production, if we aim for scaling, if we're rolling out, I think we must come back to, you called it the why, I call it the vision, the big picture. Why are we doing it? Whom for? What business value is coming there? So do that, sit down and really on a management level understand what is the journey, what we're aiming for. Do that homework before, look at your processes, your defined standards, what is there, and then think about how to implement that in production. And I wouldn't say it's wrong to play. I'm stressing that it's good and it's important because we need to learn to use it. And that comes from testing and playing. I hope we touched base on your question and answered it a bit. Thank you. There's another question, Charlie.
Yes, there's a question over here and over there, but I'm going to first ask a question that's online waiting for us from Futi. She has asked, what has been an exciting take on the role of AI in human skilling, whilst allowing users to better understand their cognitive fingerprint?
Could you repeat that? That's a pretty complex question.
She said, what has been an exciting take on the role of AI in human upskilling, I presume, because this is human skilling, whilst allowing users to better understand their cognitive fingerprint?
Anyone answer that? Do we have some?
Terry has so I think it sounds like it's speaking to the concept of how you can get the knowledge from the large language model. I assume that's where this is coming from, in a way that is tailored to how you process information. Am I correct? I'll assume that's what it is. And I think in that way, it has helped a lot. Obviously, I think long-term impact, I don't know what that will look like. I always joke around with my friends that, if I had gone through varsity with AI, I don't know if I would be better or worse off, because all the information can be presented to you immediately. And, in a format, you can tailor it to be presented in a format that makes sense to you. But then it also takes away from some of the research, some of the ability to look through all the junk and, present it in a way that makes sense to you yourself. So I think some of those are questions that are yet to be answered. I guess time will tell whether this is actually a better way of getting information or not. Obviously, there are a lot of different views. Some people think this is, way better. Others think this is, dumbing us down. But I do think there is still a long way to go before we can actually objectively comment on that.
Thanks, Terry. Tobias, sorry, Marlene, but I know you are having a special program to upskill and train. How do you call that role in German?
It's called KI-Beauftragter, AI officer, something like that.
All right. What is your experience in training AI officers?
Or we try to get an understanding how AI works from the very basic level. So from the statistics level up to the prompting, so that you know every part of AI and that you know that there's more than large language models, and AI is not large language models, so it's just a small part out of it. And then we also train the whole governance, management stuff, the legal stuff, which is important, and how you can get started. So we also use examples that you can implement all of these tasks. But yeah, I would say it's a complete journey, 2 days long, how you get this skill set.
And that's linked to the European AI Act, right? That's a role defined in the AI Act. So you can get trained on the specific role.
Yeah, that's linked to the European AI Act, and we have some specialists who do this training for 2 days, but we also do trainings in an hour or two.
Right.
And we upskilled whole companies with this techniques. Yeah.
Okay. Marlene, you wanted to mention something there?
Sort of more practical. What can you do yourself to use your brain a bit more? And I think this example was given there. Let AI write your emails, but that you don't learn anything from. So I had, every time I do a prompt, so I'm very bad at spelling and grammar, especially English. So when I say edit this for me, I will say, what mistakes did I do and how can I get better at it? So give me tips. Like is it are or is, for example. Now I know mostly you probably know, but I don't. So then you can help upskill yourself. And then I actually have an AI agent set up that every Friday, so the agent basically says, on our last week's interaction, where do you see my biggest growth opportunity? And give me 3 resources that I can read up on. So I use it as a continuous improvement of me. Where is my weakness? What have I been asking for you too much? Where can I grow?
So your private university professor?
Yes.
Love that. Great. There was another question in the audience, right?
Yes, I'm just going to quickly time box us. We've got about 15 to 10 minutes left. So I'm going to take the last 3 questions in person and 1 more question online.
Great. Thank you, Charlie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zainaba from UCT. My question is based on AI as AI itself. A lot of people came to know AI as a majority from the generative AI that we're using right now with prompting. Yes. And as you're sitting here, we're speaking about human meets AI, but we do know that AI is bigger than that. I would like to understand because we have a prompt engineer, we have a software developer, Scrum Master, and somebody that works with cloud computing. So I'd like to understand what type of AI are you using that is beyond generative AI, that a person that is listening here would understand you're not actually just speaking of generative AI, LLMs, but there's something more that you're using in your day-to-day activities. My second question is to the prompt engineer.
Okay, shall we touch first question? So is there more than ChatGPT, large language models? And if so, some examples? Toshi?
Let's say the example of, the robot cleaning at the home. Have you seen that, like Internet of Things? Even your aircon and all. So when you see, let's say the robot cleaning, it's actually using the AI. It's one of the application that it's using. That robot has been trained multiple times not to hit an object, to identify the dust, because it's not human who is teaching the robot. So it is one of the examples that you can see in day-to-day life, even for the aircon cleaning, aircon cooling. And have you used your hair dryer, the new Dyson hair dryer, where it actually controls the temperature of your hair dryer, that what you used last time, if the hair dryer is too close to your scalp, what will be the temperature for that? So other than generative, if you look at just in the household way, every day we are using the AI in that. It's learning from the data again and again. It has been trained on so much of data that it is taking decision for us. That okay, like if the house is clean, it is time to clean it, how well it can clean. And there are other things as well, where you are using other than generative, let's say the agentic AI, where actually when you book the travels, it's actually making decision for you. If you want to book a travel, let's say to Dubai, and you say that you want to go when the temperature is, let's say not, like hotter. So the AI comes in the picture where it will go ahead, see the cheapest tickets and see your preferred season and can give you the details for the booking. Did I answer your question other than generative?
Yeah. The point of me asking that question was based on how people understand today AI. When we speak of AI, people, our mental model now directly goes to generative AI,
Yes.
ChatGPT,
Right.
etc.
Yeah.
So maybe can we move the conversation that's for later on in the future? When we're discussing AI, maybe we have a little description of what type of AI am I working in the environment that I'm
Right.
in. That's what I'm talking about. So that as a society, we move away from the common AI that we're using today to understanding like AI is
So AI is not only ChatGPT.
Yes, ChatGPT,
Right.
exactly. So
Tobias,
that's the
you
thing, the
mentioned-
IoT, if you look at it, that's
Right.
one of the applications. Yeah.
You mentioned before in that training as well and so on, it's more than just,
Yes. So if you look at our company, we have 30 software engineers, and every one of them has GitHub Copilot, for example. I know it's more or less a GPT model, but we also give them access to all the well-known models, LLM models, which they can use. But in our daily work, we also train new AI models, which is not an AI model. For example, we have built an AI model, or we're building a custom AI model, which you can use to take a picture of a floor plan and you get a 3D model out of it. So these are completely custom AI, and it's nothing from the LLM perspective. But the LLM perspective in general is so interesting because it enables everyone to interact with an AI. When I write my master thesis 10 years ago, you needed you needed a computer scientist to interact with artificial intelligence, and I think the large language models gives you the possibility that you can interact with every computer, with every AI,
Right.
and in the future we will see this integration from the software vendors, and then perhaps the large language model understands what is the case you want to do, and perhaps there is a specific AI model, for example, like the floor plan conversation tool, which can do this very specific task, even if you don't know how you can transfer this picture to a 3D model. So I think we will see a lot of in the future where very specific AI can get accessed through large language models.
Yeah, there's one I know about. It's called AlphaFold 3. Maybe you heard about that. It's in a health sector. So it's there to structure proteins. So to test actually and develop drugs, but not in the lab, but using a specifically trained AI model to develop now new drugs, which obviously decreases the drug development time by a month, which is very interesting. And that's a very specific trained model. You had one more follow-up question?
Yeah, I had a question for the prompt engineer, and my question was based going to generative AI, not any specific AI. We do know that generative AI sometimes does not create the same result twice. So if you ask the same prompt, it will give you something different there. How do you deal with that in some activities that requires use of generative AI? Let me stop.
So in this case, is prompt engineering isn't enough of an answer, right? So you can only do so much with prompting. You can give it a certain context within which it's supposed to interact. You can ensure that it only refers. If you hook it up to a RAG system as an example, you can say that it's only allowed to pull information from this specific data set to help narrow down the options. But there's always going to be a risk. You can't necessarily cement it in. The way I ensure that the tools that I make give reliable results consistently is through intense testing. So there are a bunch of tools and methods you can use. Either one that I've used quite extensively is sitting with a testing group whenever new tools are being made, and then run them through some simulations, put them in controlled real-world environments, so it's not running in production, but
Right.
it does get a taste of what's busy happening, and then you monitor it for a prolonged period of time. There are some nice tools, like a new one that I started exploring now. It's open source. It's called PromptFoo, which is essentially how you can get an AI to review the AI, which is, I know it's crazy, but it works really. It comes with a lot of additional tools associated with it as well. But I treat it quite similarly to how you would onboard a new employee into a specific function. You put them in the role with certain guidelines, and then slowly but surely you take those guidelines away. You expand the use cases or the abilities that it has, and yeah, slowly but surely make a proficient tool in the end.
Great.
It is not necessarily, yeah, you can have it review itself, but there are methods to the madness. It isn't the same as with other tools necessarily. It's somewhere in between how you would treat a tool that you've custom coded for a specific use case and a human. It exists in the middle, in my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. And looking at the time, Charlie, I would say we're probably going to cover one more online, one more in the room.
I've got one this side, and then a lady that's been waiting since the very start on that end that I'm going to move to.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Musa. My question is directed to Joe. I'm impressed by your, level of understanding of prompt engineering. And what I picked up from you is that you are very technical. I humbly ask you to explain prompt engineering in layman's terms.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
That's a challenge still.
In
Thank you.
layman's terms. So I feel like I can pull a little on what I mentioned earlier. So there we go. Essentially, prompt engineering is convincing this program. So essentially, what we're doing with AI with prompt engineering is we have a data set, we have a human, and we have a problem, right? Now, the data set is massive. There's a lot going on there. The human can go and teach themselves what's busy going on and find the information, but it's going to be laborious. And say now the content itself doesn't make sense, they might have to go ask someone for help to make sense of what's going on in order to solve this problem. Where AI comes in is AI, and where prompt engineering comes in. So AI can sort of sit in the middle of this triangle that I've drew now. So for prompt engineering, the goal is to ensure that the LLM knows the problem it's trying to solve. It knows the data that it has access to, and it knows who it's busy talking to. The user as well needs to know who's approaching it, speaking to it. So through prompt engineering, you can define all of these things to the LLM so that it knows how to interact with all of the moving parts around it. And then if you have done your job right, the user can solve the problem through the use of AI, because it's not just going to be one problem. You're not going to use AI to help solve what's 1 + 1. It's 2. If it's when nuanced issues come in, when you have to make sense of the data set, when the human has to think and maybe refer to some documentation or just get a second eye on what they're busy reading in the documentation in order to address a problem or to perform some sort of activity around the problem. Prompt engineering is ensuring that all of these parts communicate seamlessly with one another.
Speaks for itself. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful event. Just to vouch for Roman, I was there at your TEDx talk.
Oh,
really enjoyed it.
I remember.
It was great.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a big audience.
Thank you.
I'm very passionate about teaching non-tech people to adopt AI, and I'm a non-tech person teaching that. One of the things that I've come across a lot is that there's a huge resistance within leadership. Leadership are often my age and older, and they don't know which way and how to lead people in this era that we are moving into. What is your advice to people in senior leadership positions on how to move this forwards in the best possible way?
Maybe I just jump in here and then somebody else. So we work with a client. They have 70,000 plus employees, and we're working with C-level with this client. So it's leadership. And what I see is that this leadership is meeting other leadership at events like this, probably a bit more exclusive than this. And they hear about the buzzword AI. And now we need to magically do it now and implement as fast as we can without having much clue, let's be honest. Because it's overwhelming, because it's challenging. And I see two parts. I think one important thing is to upskill leadership to understand what they need to understand, not the technical details, but the big picture. Why are we implementing this in our company? What do we want to achieve with it in terms of business value, but also in terms of helping our team, our people to do the right things with it. For this, leadership must be also willing to be upskilled, which is a huge challenge. And I don't want to call it a generation thing. I just want to call it a leadership problem because, yeah. But it's doable. It's doable. And the other thing is, I think leadership, and that's always a challenge, needs to learn more and even more to leave implementation, operation where it belongs to. And that doesn't belong to leadership level. It belongs to the teams. It belongs to everybody who's actually working with the tools, who knows it the best. It belongs to engineers. It belongs to Scrum teams and whatever it is. But it's very important to outline the direction, setting the frame, where we're heading to and why we're heading there. And I think that's still the biggest challenge because they don't know either why and what, because it is extremely overwhelming. So the more we can support leadership in understanding it better for framed and communicated for leadership, the better it will be to implement and to direct teams. That's a bit our experience, which end up with, for example, making masterminds where you bring leadership together in an actual closed room from different companies in a C-level event where you learn and teach and learn from each other. How does it work in your company? But not in an open space, but more in a private and safe space where we can also openly talk and share on leadership level what goes wrong and what goes not good, because that's the scary part, because it's not going good everywhere, right? It's challenging. So yeah, that would be a bit of my take. And Marlene, I see you're already moving. Tell us.
So what I've been doing with some leadership of companies is actually that whole thing, and you actually allude to it, the whole thing about you are not there to do it. So the first thing for me, I always say, it's just a tool. Can we just say it's just a tool? And then you also said earlier, right, what do we then do? And for leadership, it's more, what is your strategy on what do you want to achieve? And then it's important we also understand what level are you working at? Because again, leadership can be also many levels, right? Management we're working with. So are you the management of the area that actually has to implement? That's a different talk compared to executive board level conversations. What I like practical to do and get the leadership back on outcome driven. What is it the value of what we're doing? And what would you like to see measured, right? So the OKR framework of saying, how would we know this is success? Because if we just do things for the sake of it, that's a waste. So I want the leadership to set the guidance of where are we struggling? What is the problem we're having that we would like AI to try solve for us? And how would we know we have solved it? That's the only thing you guys need to answer. Right. Then find the right people to help you with it. That's the expert. And that's then again, is the company mature enough to actually treat experts like experts, right? And that's often the struggle we come into, saying like, we still have this, when you say leader, are they leader, are they manager? Do they actually want to tell? And that then is the next conversation that I find as agile coaches we then have to have, where it's beyond AI.
Focus on the value we want, right? What is its direction? And I hope this was valuable for you. I hope you enjoyed this evening so far. You got some good discussions and some good, interaction. I really enjoyed it. I would like you to applaud this great, very nice panel. Thank you, Terry, Toshi, Tobias, Marlena for being here, and Joe. You may head back to your seats, and we're going to close and lead over to networking. And the expected snacks. I know, they're coming now.
I'm going to ask Milena to just stay on stage with me.
Oh, yes.
And before we also all run off, anybody who is online, I know that there were quite a few questions unanswered. Please reach out on social media. You would have seen our tags earlier in the live stream. Somebody will definitely reach out to you, either from partner or from SUGSA, or even one of our panelists tonight who are also going to be able to see your questions as we go forward. And if there's anybody else in the room that didn't get a question answered, we're here all night, or most of the night. So please come and network with us and come and mingle and have a chat and ask your questions there. We'll be happy to chat with you. On that note, I'm going to take us through to a lucky draw surprise little gift to all of those in the room with us tonight. Unfortunately, this won't go out to anybody online, but we have Milena here who's going to give us a little rundown of what her prize is that we're going to do on lucky draw. That's actually valued 3,850 Rand, so it's over 3,500 Rand.
Thanks, Charlie. Well, it's our AI for Scrum Master My Credential course from Scrum Alliance. That's also the title sponsor. We see AI courses all over. And of course, in the Agile space is to say, how do you work? So even though it says for Scrum Master, it's actually also bloody good for coaches. Anybody working with Agile as a coach, as a Scrum Master, how do you actually work with it? And I actually want to put a spin on it because I know your meetup, Roman, is more of a product meetup. So if anybody is here winning it, we can also swap it to the AI for Product Owner course, if that is more interested than the AI for Scrum Master. So there's the two My Credential, AI for Product Owner, AI for Scrum Master.
So am I allowed to press the button? Yes.
Go for it.
Now I'm curious who it will be.
Niven ready. Is Niven ready here?
Congrats. Lucky you. He just told me that he's new in town and that this is his first event, so perfect.
First time lucky.
Great.
Cool.
Let me
Thank
just
you so
go back
much.
to. By the way, in case you haven't seen that, that's the live stream, and it has been orchestrated by my business partner in Germany. So 12,000 kilometers away, it's working very well.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark.
you.
As we end off for the night, as we mentioned, Scrum Alliance is SUGSA's title sponsor. So if you are a Scrum Alliance member, you would be getting your Scrum educational units, your SEUs. So you can scan this barcode now and it will take you through to a link. If you aren't able to scan this barcode or fill it out tonight, you are still able to add it in on your profile.
I just give some people the chance to scan. I see people scanning just
Move out
now.
the way.
All right. And as said, it would be great if we can get your feedback. In case you like the event, thumbs up, whatever it is, please feel free to share. It's important to have feedback and improve these events and see if we're on the right track. Last but not least, Charlie, thanks a lot to our great sponsors again. I think they should get another applause because without
Big round of applause.
wouldn't have been possible. And I know you are having another big event coming up in March.
Yes, we are. So we have our regional Scrum gathering that will be happening in March. Ticket sales are open now.
Great.
And it is a 2-day conference with many talks, much like these, that will be taking place at Lagoon Beach in Cape Town. So please go and have a look or ask one of the SUGSA members about how you can get a ticket and attend to the event.
Wonderful. So from my side, I want to say thank you to Charlie and SUGSA and the whole team. I reached out, as said, 5 months ago. You want to have this meetup? And yes, we had it. And I think it was great collaboration. It turned out wonderful. Thanks for coming over. I will invite now everybody to networking, drinks, and nice food. Stay here. Enjoy the evening. Thank you for coming. Charlie, you have the last words.
Thank you so much to Partner. And this is just one last prompt for all of us. Both of us, as we mentioned earlier in the night, have meetups.
Correct.
So go and have a look, go and investigate, come and ask questions because we would love to connect with you after tonight as well. So thank you
Perfect.
so much for everything, Roman.
Thank you.
Have a good night.